So let's get started. And just a heads up, team, my name's Anton. I've been with Nexonia for over 3+ years now. And I work specifically with Dean Thornton. We partner with the organization to help organizations track and automate the expense process. And so what we'll cover today is the full workflow. And what we're looking at right now is Brad Stevens looking at the mobile application where we're going to build out these reports and submit them over to Jesse. And let's picture Jesse kind of like the accounting managers, controllers of the world that are approving these reports before they go into Intacct. And after that, we will touch on the reporting module and as well as the integration. Now, throughout the process itself, we're going to focus on how we could help your team improve compliance using policies, help improve efficiencies using a web and mobile application, what we just looked at and went through, and as well as improve visibility on spending using that reporting module. But let's start with Brad Stevens. He's the one traveling, going to restaurants, trade shows, conferences, or different locations. And what he'd like to do is build out a report. Everything that we're seeing here is highly configurable. So we're tailoring it for your organization. Bringing in your company's colors, your company's logos. We're bringing, and we want to make sure we're tailoring it for your organization. You're never getting an out-of-box solution. We are looking at the iPhone application, but we are available on every single app store. If you have users still using BlackBerry devices, not a problem, we're there for them. But what we'd like to do is click that plus sign. And let's picture the report kind of like a container for all of our expenses. We could title this report based on the month of August, that trade show or conference we're attending, or specifically maybe a department or location that we're traveling to. Now, once we've clicked save, there are a few different ways we could get that receipt on here. Taking a picture of the receipt using our OCR feature, optical character recognition, where it's reading the date, amount, and the vendor for the user already. We also have that landscape icon, maybe pre-existing images. We've gone to 2 or 3 different restaurants and we've taken pictures of receipts. Once we get back to the hotel, we can code out those expense items and access our camera roll. We also have the ability to forward invoices directly onto our mobile application, right? Receiving that invoice from Amazon or Staples and then forwarding it over to receipts@nexonia.com. And our system's intuitive enough to find out where that receipt's coming from and populate that user's profile. For today's demonstration, we'll walk you through a corporate credit card transaction. So selecting Add Item at the very bottom, we could select Add from Credit Card. This will bring us into that corporate credit card feed. It does take between 5 to 8 weeks for us to build out the solution for you and have that corporate credit card integration work successfully. From there, you'll see the transactions populate into this feed between 16 to 24 hours, more or less. But as Brad, we could select the transaction to begin coding it out. Referring to those 2 images, taking a picture of the receipt, accessing pre-existing images, jumping into our camera roll, we could populate this expense item. The top left will let us know that receipt has been attached. Amount, currency, and transaction date have all brought in from the corporate credit card vendor. And this is pretty cool. We will be using your accounting system as the source of record. So don't be alarmed if we're not using customers or projects. We will be pulling in dimensions, segments, or fields from your accounting system. So things we've seen are grants, funds, departments, locations, you name it. So we could add or remove or even edit the fields that we're seeing today. We'll select category as dinner, and you'll notice additional fields will now populate. We have attendees that we could track on this meal. And we could also add soft and hard policies, so touching on compliance. So I'll give you an example. With my account that I have here, if any meal is over $50, which it is, we could have a soft policy saying, hey, without a receipt attached, after submitting it over to Jesse with a soft policy, we'll flag it for the user, versus a hard policy will not allow Brad to submit the expense item unless the receipt is attached. Soft and hard policies could be applied to different parts of the receipt. Something we see very often is the memo field, making it mandatory for the memo. We have reference, vendor, and description all brought in. And we have the ability to split the expense and mark it billable against different customers or projects. Now, once we've clicked save, we are now back in the report, still in draft mode. So we're building it out for Jesse. But once we've submitted over to Jesse,
she'll receive an email notification letting her know, hey, there's a report that needs to be approved. They'll have the details on there, as well as a link to jump onto the web application. On the web application, now that we transition over as Jesse, just like the mobile, highly configurable. We're tailoring it for your company's needs. Now, company color, logos, but we've also helped faith-based nonprofit organizations track time as well. Jessie will only see the modules that she's subscribed to, and jumping over to the Approvals tab, we will find that report we've built out as Brad, that policy we're warning we spoke about before, any meal that's over $50, alerting Jessie. Item history lets us know where in the approval workflow it is. And we could approve that report right there, but we can also jump in to take a look at further details of the expense item, how it's coded out. As the admin, we have the ability to make changes on their behalf just in case they made a mistake. When it comes to rejecting line items, let's just say, heck, we jump back in here. $433 is really expensive for one person. No additional notes and no additional attendees. If we like, we can reject this line item. But whenever we do, we always make it mandatory to add a little bit of context. Why so expensive? From there, Brad will receive the notification, make any changes, and resubmit. And Jesse could approve it and have it synced over with Intacct. With the reporting module, and this is really cool, it really does help improve visibility and allows your team to be more proactive versus reactive. And so we have a reporting module, and it works as a data aggregator tool. Right now, we're logged in as Jessie. She's the admin. We could build out these reports, track expenses for any data point, you name it, expenses against a customer, project, date range. We also have reports that will help improve efficiencies with the corporate credit card reconciliation process. So we could track expenses against subset of people, cards, intervals of months, weeks, quarters, or years. We could also add date ranges as well, but we have the ability to export this information as a PDF or a CSV file. Just to quickly show you what the CSV file will look like, with this report, and now just picture August 27th, towards the end of the month, we now have visibility as to how many transactions are out there, who do they belong to which card, and what status. Are they rejected, approved, or are they still outstanding? So that way we can nudge Jill or Brad and say, hey, let's get these transactions in. It's been pending for X amount of days or months. And last but not least, team, would be the integration. Having an API integration with multiple accounting systems, and I'll point to one now, say Intacct, we have the ability to push information and pull on a hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So depending how frequent you want both systems to communicate to each other, we can set that up for you. And that pretty much sums it up for me today. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thanks, Anton. I did have a question come through. Can you track mileage? Could you just answer that one real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So we could track mileage and out-of-pocket expenses. Excuse me. And just because we were short on time today, we weren't able to cover that. But I'll be sure to send over some information on how we could do that using our GPS and Google Maps integration.
Okay, that sounds good. We appreciate you. Sorry that was a little bit of a rush, but that was a great overview. So we appreciate you coming on.